Is masturbation a legitimate form of birth control? See, I don't know what's coming, so I can't prepare for this. Now, on the subject of masturbation, I will say this. The Bible doesn't say anything. I had one guy quote Ecclesiastes 9:10, which says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. And he tried to use that verse. He tried to use that verse to legitimize masturbation. That's not what he was talking about. He was talking about getting a job. Masturbation is not a sin. How quiet it got. Can I do it? Can I do it? Pervert. Masturbation is not a sin because the Bible doesn't say that masturbation is a sin, and it's not something new, right? I mean, people would say, well, the Bible's really old. Yeah, but I'm sure somebody figured it out, you know? So it's not a sin because the Bible doesn't say it's a sin, but here's what is a sin: lust. Now, what's the whole point of pornography? Masturbation. I don't know any guy who says, I'm going to look at porn so I can cut my grass. Like, I don't know any guy, step one, step two. I had never met that guy. If so, you need help immediately. You have serious issues. The whole point of pornography is lust and masturbation. So lust is a sin, Jesus says. And so you shouldn't lust. Job 31:1, he says, I made a covenant with my eyes not to look upon a woman lustfully. And so here's my problem. Masturbation is not a sin, but lust is. Pornography exists nothing but for the purpose of lust and ultimately for masturbation. And so what I would say is pornography is a sin, lust is a sin, and if you can find a way to masturbate that isn't including lust, I guess you're not sinning, but you're weird. Like you're thinking about tractors or something. I don't know what you're thinking about. Paul says also to the Corinthians that I will not be mastered by anything, which means, and I don't know about women because I'm not. But I know for guys, the more you masturbate, the more your body produces semen, the more you have a biological desire, so the more you want to masturbate, which means if you masturbate, it's probably not going to cure your problem. You're going to become a guy who masturbates more often, and you'll become mastered by your masturbation. And all of this is answered in 1 Corinthians 7, where Paul says that ultimately, if you've got strong sexual urges and desires, you should pursue marriage as God's legitimate outlet for them. In the meantime, is it a sin for a guy to masturbate? No. Is it a sin for a gal to masturbate? Not necessarily. If you're married, is it acceptable to masturbate within marriage? Well, if you masturbate one another, we call it mutual manual stimulation. Song of Solomon actually talks about it, and it's perfectly acceptable. If you're making love together, I would not discourage it because the Bible says in Genesis 2 that the point of sexuality is oneness. The man and the wife became one flesh. So whatever a husband and wife are doing that promotes oneness, I would say, is acceptable. If a guy's in the other room masturbating and his wife's in another room masturbating, that's not oneness. But if they're making love and they're together and the wife wants to enjoy her clitoris, then I am not going to jump in with a whistle and a shirt with black and white stripes and call a foul. We doing okay? I've actually written, I think, a booklet on this out there if there's any left. Is it a legitimate form of birth control? I would say if you are married as well, and it is the wife's season of ovulation and you don't want to have pregnancy, and so let's say the wife masturbates the husband or the husband masturbates the wife, is that a sin? I'd say no, it's for pleasure, it's oneness. All right, the Bible doesn't say it's a sin, but it says lust is a sin. It says that, addiction or being mastered by something is a sin. It says as well that you should desire marriage and marital intimacy, and that the point of marital intimacy is oneness. So ultimately, that would be my recommendation. But if you are someone who is masturbating in a addictive, compulsory way, you're not filled with lust, and including pornography, then I would say if you are single, you're not in sin, and if you are married and enjoying one another in that way, you are not in sin. But it is also a conscience issue. That doesn't mean you all should go and do it. How's that for a non-answer? You're welcome.